Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how I made my own fishing rod holder using PVC pipe, which I find to be the easiest and cheapest solution for storing your rods. Here are a few items you're going to need, which is a tape measure, Sharpie, pencil, drill, a hole saw, which you can pick up at Walmart for $7, safety glasses, a level, and I will be using two sizes of PVC pipe. One is the 1.5 inch you can pick up for $10 for 5 feet, and the other is 3/4 of an inch for $5, and you can get 10 feet of it. So let's get started. So today, you might have watched the most recent video where we finally finished our little fishing corner in our garage. But the one thing I didn't finish was my fishing rod holder. And what I'm making it with is some PVC pipe. And I know I'm not the first person to do this, but I figured I have a kind of an idea that how I want to do it. And it's pretty simple. And again, this is just extra stuff that I had. So I'm most likely going to be doing something like this, where I cut a hole through and do the same thing, except this time I'm not going to cut a hole through the bottom. And so my rod will actually stick onto the bottom of this. The butt goes into there, and then I'll actually, in the most recent video, if you watch how I set this up, I put a stud across here. That's where I'll be attaching the rings that will hold the pole. So I'll have some, the holder down here, but then also have the rings that hold it there. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark, and what I do plan on doing, but today it's not going to be part of the videos. I want to spray paint these, but I just want to get them up. So my first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark every 6 inches. All right, so I have it marked around 6 inches, and what my plan is too, is I'll be able to have support. So there's my line, 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches. And then I'll probably do maybe, because I can do in the middle of here is be some support. So this is where I'll kind of screw in my support against the wall. So since this is 6 inches, I need to draw almost like a straight line too. I want to make sure that these are pretty equal in the placing in which I'm going to put them. So every time I drill holes, so I'll be using this little hole saw here for my drill. And so I want to make sure they're straight across as well. So I'm going to do my best to do that. What I'm going to do with this is mark my line straight across with this 2x4. So here you guys can kind of see that line with those marks is where I'm going to drill the hole and have it be pretty uniform. It looks pretty straight. And I guess we'll find out. I do have a little bit of extra, but I don't want to burn through too much. So I'm going to mark my distance between this hole, because I need at least 1.5 inches. Distance between this hole and the side, so I can have it uniform. So both sides are equal, and it will look pretty finished. So I decided to do 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches on each side, because I was going to do 1 inch, but the hole that I'm making is 1.5 inches. So I want to make sure there's a little bit of distance between it. So right there. So I'll cut straight down here, and then work from there. But I actually might do the holes first, because since I have more leverage having the full pole here. So I'm going to do that here in a second. All right, so I need to do a quick recap. So I noticed that my GoPro wasn't recording. So what I did is, at the end of that, I actually decided to cut it down, and I attached it to a 2x4 here, so I can have some leverage. So when I drill into it, it's straight. So I cut it down, drilled some holes into it to put my screws into this wood, and then drilling my holes on this line. Now what I've noticed though already is that I feel like it's not necessarily equal on each side, but it's so hard to tell. I mean, it doesn't look like it, so I don't know if it's my line or whatnot, but as long as it's close to being center, again, it's gonna fit my rods no matter what. As long as it's straight enough to where my rods are there, my rods are standing up straight, it's all good. So now I'm gonna start drilling these. And I got these. These are just hole saws. I got at Walmart for like $7 or something. And it works just fine. It is, I think it's 1.5 inches. So it's exactly the diameter of my end of my rods, my butts of my rods. All right, there it is, my 3 holes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this off, cut it down, and then I'm gonna sand it down, make it some clean edges. All right, so there it is. So now I just need to cut these down and we're gonna put it, so I'll show you guys here in a second once I get this cut. I'll bring you guys over there. But then we're gonna have our 3 holes. All right, so basically, long story short, very simple explanation. It goes like that. And so all 3 of my rods will sit right in there. So now my only thing is I need to make sure, 1, that it's level, and 2, I need to drill holes into here, which will be my support for this. And I'll get it in there like that. So those need to be straight too. And then when I do that, it'll rest like this. And then I need the next part we need to do is the clips. So right here is a little bit smaller. So I've actually started one. Where's the end? Right here. So just for trial, I actually cut it down a little bit just to see. Well, right here. So actually I had it right here. And that's just not wide enough. So actually what I'm gonna need to do is make it a little bit wider, but I also am gonna make the ring a little bit thicker. And now this is just something I'm gonna make all 3 the same size, probably around like a 1/2 inch. And then those will end up being like this. And then I just put my rod in and it just clips it in there like this. Bada bing, bada boom. They're resting here. So let's get to working on these. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make that line a little bit wider so my rods can fit in there, and then I'm gonna start cutting the rings. All right, again, doesn't have to be perfect, made it a little bit wider. All right, now I'm gonna cut rings. My daughter is napping, so I'm trying to be very quick with this. So here's those rings, a 1/2 inch. Let's see if they fit around the rods. So looking at this right now, the 1/2 inch is fine. I still need the gap to be wider. All right, let's see. Figured I'd bring you guys over here. So here is what it would look like. Let me make sure you guys can see it. And then it's gonna be on there like this. But my thing is I didn't think about the rod socks. And so I could use the same PVC pipe that I cut for but I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. Actually, I think that's fine. So it'll be like that. And those aren't going anywhere. They're not gonna fall out, especially once I get rod socks for all of them, really. So it'll be like this. So my rods will be in there like this, and then like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut 2 more of these. Where am I? Cut 2 more of these, and then we're gonna start doing work over here. All right, so I have all 3 here, all roughly the same 1.5 inch, you know, again, doesn't need to be perfect, but those are my rings, all have the same diameter of gap there. Now what I need to do is, do I want it centered? Because eventually what will happen is I'll probably will add, as I do this, and as you guys keep enjoying this content, my goal is to accumulate maybe some more rods, maybe some more bait casters, maybe some spinning rods, I don't know. But eventually I would probably just turn this into like maybe a 5 rod holder. But what my goal is I want to be able to have it in a spot where if I attach it here and I want to add more, so if I just cut another one that's 12 more inches long, which will fit where the shelf is, you guys are attached to it, I could do that. So I don't want it to be too far over, but I don't have, right now for my Xfinity Pro, I do not have a reel for it, so it doesn't really matter. Now I need to measure the distance in which I need to probably put this here. It's away from that wood. So actually it's 4 inches. Probably first make sure it's level. So what I'll do is I actually get this attached on one side so it can still shift, get it level, and then work on the clips. So there's the holes. So I actually bored it out just with a drill. I'll sand it down a little bit, but I bored them down just so a screw can fit through that, or actually not a screw, my drill bit can go through there to screw in the screw. But otherwise, now what I need to do is just screw it into the wall, make sure it's level. So I'll probably do the one side first, level it out, and then go from there. And then we need to do the clips that go up top. All right, so now I need to bring this over, and what I need to do is make sure it's as straight as possible on this wall. I want to, again, make sure this circle is about center of where I need to have my pole be. So it'll be like this, like that, which will be perfect. Just right now it's getting it on there and seeing what it looks like. Now what I'll do, and I like to use washers. I like to use washers to really lock it into place. So I'll try to figure out how I'm going to get this screw in there with the washer, which is going to be the tricky part, but I like to use washers because it will really lock it in place. All right, so I bored them out just a little bit more. They barely fit, but it will. Or I should say it barely fits, but that's all that matters to me, is I just needed to get through so I can actually use the magnet to hold that, because otherwise I can't really screw it in. Got the first one in. All right, so now I just need my screwdriver. And again, I apologize for the wind. I know it's gonna be making the mic sound weird every once in a while. Okay. I got my hole. And now what I'll do, yep, there it is. So now what I'll do is I'll actually unscrew it from there, because I already have one on. I just need the other one in there, and we have that up there. Now I should be able to just rest this in here, get it off the ground. So then I need to make sure this is straight. So I have a line again going from here all the way to here, which is where, let's see if you guys can see my finger. Yeah, so from here to here is where I have those studs behind this. So that's where I'm gonna put my clips in. So my spinning rod will be like this. Like that. Yeah, something like that. Maybe like this, because I have them kind of going sideways. So this one will actually go sideways too. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is trace my line. So I don't need it to go all the way over here. And I don't need it to be exactly center. So this is just where the board is, where the center of the board is. And I don't necessarily need it to be center of the board. I just need it to be straight. So right now for me, I'm just more worried about making sure all my pegs are lined up. And so where I made my stud, it's in a spot where there's no eyelets, or it's close to an eyelet, but it's not going to be right on one. So all of them should be able to go there. So if this was center in that hole, so that's pretty dang good. So right there. So I want it to be a general area right there. So now what I'm gonna do is move this pole over here, because it's starting to get windy. We're supposed to have a bad storm. So I'm trying to get this finished before that rolls in. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a hole with this into this little spot right here, and then be able to screw it in with just some drywall screws. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna start a hole just so I have guidance through there, because I will be drilling through this kind of at an angle, which is not necessarily great, but we're gonna try. Actually might start it with just a screwdriver and then see if I can just get it in through that, because I don't want to do any damage to the wood. So I'll do something like that. It needs to be tight enough to where it doesn't move. Like that. Let's test it out. So, unfortunately, yeah, I need to get spacers, but yeah, it'll be like that, and that will be perfect. Literally perfect. And so, I think overall, I'm gonna get these all attached, and then you'll be able to see the finished product. Not painted, but you'll see finished product. So you don't need to watch me drill in 3 of these. But once I get them 3 hung up, then I'll get my rods in there and you'll be able to see the whole thing completed.
Fly so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right.
Yeah, so I have the spacer here on my pegboard, which pushes the pegboard away. So with these ones, it can flexible. So I definitely, at least in the top, I don't know if I necessarily need at the bottom, but definitely at the top, I need a little bit of spacer to do it. So I think they'll be fine though. There we go, something like that. And it's all good. There's my fishing pole holder. So I'll show you guys once this helicopter goes away. And there it is. All 3 of my rods in their holders and pretty straight. So it looks a little off because of one, it's a spinning rod, so the reel is a lot more extended. And then also this one doesn't have a reel, so that's one of the reasons why to me it looks so off. So probably what I'll do is I'll probably have the spinning reel over here and then my 2 bait casters next to each other. And once I get more, things will be moved around. But otherwise, I'll paint these, get them all painted, and it'll look pretty finished. And I actually want to sand off these edges a little bit on these holders here because I don't want them scratching up all the rods and stuff. But otherwise, it looks pretty dang good. So again, if you guys enjoyed this content, if you want to see how I set this up in my previous video, I'll link it down below. This was a fun project. Started from square one. It was literally nothing here, just a bunch of garage stuff, and then I turned it into my fishing section, and now we have a fishing rod holder section. So that's pretty cool. Again, guys, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and hopefully this weather will warm up and I can go fishing and actually catch fish. Zach finds fish, has been struggling. So guys, again, I'll see you guys soon, and hopefully with a fish on the end of the hook. Peace.